we've got the new GEARWRENCH mobile work table. We'll be right back. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. This is the GEARWRENCH model number 83166, and it is their mobile work table. What is it? It's a mobile work table. Now, it's a table that actually goes up and down, so it goes as low as about 35 inches, so just below 3 feet. Goes as high as 48 inches. It's on casters. It's on 4 swivel casters, so you can spin this thing however you want to. You don't have to, push it forward to turn it or turn it, one way or the other. It will actually spin in a complete circle sitting in one area, so it doesn't have to spin on the back wheels or anything like that. Got a handle on one side. You got some places for screwdrivers and pry bars and different things. So let's take a closer look at this. We're going to do a quick modification, and if you know me, you've probably seen this before. Huge pet peeve of mine, nothing against GEARWRENCH, but something you should do on any of the items that you get when it's like this. I'm being very vague. Anyway, let's jump into it. So this is our mobile work table, and you can see I've got a little sawdust on here, a little junk in here. I put sawdust so you can see it on the black background. Anyway, when I get new toolboxes, you'll see me do this, new service carts, in this case, mobile work tray, and that is we have a liner in here. So that's cool, that's great. Kind of gives a little padding, a little non-skid so things don't slide around. So great, easy to clean up and so forth. Here's the pain though with cleaning up something like this. So you get crud on there, you want to vacuum up your sand, your grease, what have you, in this case sawdust. But let's see what happens when I turn the vacuum on. So within a few seconds, within a few swipes, as soon as I got close to the edge or actually let it suck down on it, it actually pulled our liner up. So then we reach for the blowgun. And same thing, we're starting to blow our liners everywhere, and they're blowing all over the place. So there is a quick answer to this. A little bit of spray glue. And I've showed this many times, so if you already know this, then turn your head and get some coffee, something. Anyway, so I've got it in here. I'm not going to take it out. I'm just going to fold it halfway over. And by the way, you don't need a whole lot of this. And you want to coat both sides, because contact cement works with itself. It doesn't work as like a wet glue. So let it tack up a second, maybe a minute or so. And then once it tacks up, carefully grab this and just kind of let it roll back over. And if you don't press it down, then you can still kind of mold it and move it to where you need it to be and so forth. I'm good with that. And then fold the other side over. Let that tack up a second or a minute. Whatever, you get it. Now once you're happy with it, just kind of rub it down. That'll kind of keep it all in place. Do your small pieces. Rub those down. Now you're good to go. So now we can crank up the vacuum. No problem at all. We take our blower. No problem. So now we have cured that issue. Now our liner is glued down. We can get junk up on there. We can clean it off, all with a little simple solution called spray adhesive. Works great. Now let's talk about this actual work table. As I mentioned, it's on 4 swivel casters, so it's very easy to spin this thing. Doesn't have to, you don't have to just spin the front of it or turn the front of it. So all 4 casters swivel, making it very easy to maneuver this sideways, forward, diagonally, however you want to spin this. You also have a lot of clearance out the front because the post it's not all the way on the back, and by the way, it does have kind of a gusset to support it as well. but you do have kind of that whole front area if you need to kind of swing this over something, maybe even over a fender. Just be careful here. That might be something where you want to add some rubber on the front of this. So if you are going to slide this over a fender, so this is hitting something like, you know, on the fender with a piece of rubber or something like that. As I mentioned, from the ground all the way down, you're looking at a little less than 35 inches, looks like 34 3/4 to the top of the tray. And then all the way up, and by the way, you just turn that T-handle, and then you've got a line there not to go over. And then right below 48 inches, so it looks like 47.5 inches if we're at the line on our max raise height, just about 48 inches on the table itself or on the tray. And by the way, the max capacity on this is 125 pounds, but they do recommend that be center mass. So in other words, it kind of in the center of the table. If you're looking at just weight on the side, if you want to side load it, they're saying, I think 60 or 65 pounds max on the side, which I don't know why you would kind of overload the side. So 125 pounds, as long as you're spreading your weight out decently so it's spread across those casters, you got 125 pounds to work with. So this is not something you're going to put a transmission on. But it will work great for your small parts, tools, and things like that. Let's load this thing up and see what we think. Okay, so we've got our tools loaded up on here. You see we have several holes. Looks like about 8 holes here where you can put on pry bars. You can put your screwdrivers, anything like that, long extensions even. Put in these holes here, and then you have a nice, decent sized tray here to put tools in. You even have your small trays that you can put small tools in as well, like our 3/8 and 1/2 inch ratchets. So have a couple of small trays as well as the big tray, which again, you could put parts on if you needed to. But again, max 125 pounds. Rolls really well and is just a very handy tool to have, or tool cart, I guess you'd say. Now, let me talk about a couple of issues that I've heard, because when I go to review something like this, I not only use it for myself and get others' opinions on this, but I also look online and say, you know what are other people talking about this? What do other reviews say? And I came across 2 problems or 2 issues that people complain about this mobile workstation. Not a lot, but on all the stuff I watched or looked at or read, there were 2 problems that came up, and that was assembling this, and they said that it was hard to get the bolts in. Okay, I mean, listen, if you're buying this, you're probably a mechanic, so if you're complaining about being able to line up bolt holes, I don't know what to tell you. Were they tight? Yeah, I would imagine probably the powder coating, so the holes maybe could have been drilled out a little bigger, but we still got them in there without doing any modification whatsoever. So it was kind of not a pain, but you did have to kind of take care to get all 4 started before you tighten them up on each side. But again, we're talking one time as far as assembling this. It still took us about a total of 10 minutes to build this, so it's not a tough thing to do. So that was one issue that people talked about. I don't count that as a problem whatsoever. Assembling this, again, it's not like I had to get a pry bar out. I think I took a screwdriver to line up the bolt holes, and that was it. So it had to do no modifications, break out no drills or die grinders or anything else. The other issue that people talked about was that it didn't roll well once it was loaded down. I looked at the wheels and thought, you know what, they're just kind of riding on a bushing. There is no bearing. I get where that may come up. However, even loading this down, where I've got, I don't know, probably 40 pounds of tools in there right now, one hand I can maneuver this around with no problem whatsoever. Now we'll load this down even more here in 1 second. So I really don't see an issue as it is. Again, getting back to my other mention earlier, was maybe if you loaded a transmission on this thing that made it real heavy, maybe it didn't want to swivel. I think that was people's complaints, that it just didn't want to swivel and roll as easy. But again, I've not had an issue with that. And I would be honest with you, if I felt like there was any sticking points or anything like that, So again, I can see the casters that they're not the best in the world, but let's face it. I mean, you can pay $150 just for casters sometimes. So I get it that they're not going to have the highest dollar casters in the world on here. But they do quite fine with the load that's on here. So let's go ahead and load this thing down and we'll show you after that. Okay, so I've loaded up, I left all the tools on here, as well as I loaded up a fabricated front bumper that's not assembled yet. And I know this package was over 100 pounds in itself. So I've added 100 pounds plus the probably 40 or so pounds I have of tools on there. And still, I'm not having an issue rolling this around. So that issue, what people talk about the swivel casters, I could see that maybe that could be an issue. We're not seeing it here. And maybe over time that will tell. I've had this a few weeks. And again, loading it down, even with the max capacity they're talking about, I'm not having any issue rolling this cart around whatsoever. And by the way, you shouldn't be like rolling at 30 miles an hour. So I hope that's not the issue. Anyway, so I wanted to address that and just prove to you that, hey, we're not seeing that. People's remedy, by the way, were to put rollerblade wheels on it. So yeah, if you put some rollerblade wheels and bearings on it, I think that'd probably roll very well. But anyway, we're not seeing any issues. We love this little work table, especially when you're under a lift like this. Even when you don't have a lift, something to go to. And sometimes you can have a service cart rolling around. But I'm telling you, this work table, this mobile work table, works out really, really well. We really had no issues with the GEARWRENCH mobile work table. It worked very well for us, other than the whole liner thing that is my pet peeve for any toolboxes that we receive. Just, that's no stick against a GEARWRENCH, so all of them do them where they either put the liners in the drawers or what have you. So I like to glue them down first, and then you don't have any problem with them. They don't slide around, they don't move, they don't wrinkle or anything. So a quick fix, a little bit of spray adhesive will help you do that. I'll have a link in the description for that. Model number on this is the 83166. Price on it, $149. So less than $150. You've got a great work table that you can roll around and very easy to maneuver. Put your tools on it. When you're done with it, clean it up, put it away. By the way, you can also, I'll show you, we can kind of stack this against our service cart, the GEARWRENCH service cart. It works very well, and then you're not taking up near as much room. At least you're not taking up double the footprint, if you will. But this worked really well. Had no problem with the casters, as other talked about, as well as putting it together. Come on, guys. You can figure this out. It's not difficult, I promise. Anyway, hey, let us know if you have any issues, but great workstation. Check it out on Amazon. $150, $149. And again, we'll have a link in the description for that. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by the way, if you hated our video, give us a thumbs down, but would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.